Hi guys, the poem we're going to be looking at is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, also by Robert Frost. It deals with nature as most of Robert Frost's poems do, but also it can be looked at metaphorically, as is the case with a lot of Frost poems. And I just want to pause here quickly and read through the poem, and then after that we'll go through it one stanza at a time. Right, if we start looking at the form and structure of the poem, basically it consists of 4 stanzas. The first 3 have identical rhyme scheme, with the first, second, and fourth lines rhyming, as you can see, A, B, A. The third line then sets up the rhyme for the next stanza. So the next stanza is B, B, C, B, with lake being the rhyme that is set up for stanza 3, which then rhymes with shake, mistake, and the fourth line, flake. And then in the last stanza, it is a little bit different, as they all rhyme with sweep. As you can see, they are deep, keep, and sleep. And in this way, the poet kind of pulls each stanza into the next one. Looking at the first stanza, basically there's a man and he's on a journey to somewhere, and he comes across some woods, and he thinks about stopping at the woods to watch them fill up with snow. He's a little bit worried or apprehensive that the owner might be around, but thinks to himself that the owner actually lives in the village and therefore it shouldn't be a problem. What's quite interesting, if you look at the first line, the word order is a little bit unusual. Instead of saying, I think I know whose woods these are, the poet has used the passive voice and said, whose woods these are, I think I know, which creates assonance. As you can see, the W sound, whose woods, that's O sound, kind of emphasizes the calmness of the woods, and it slows down the line as well, maybe to indicate how the traveler is slowing down to stop and look at the woods. The second stanza talks about how the speaker thinks his horse must think it is rather strange that they're stopping there, as there's nothing around, there's no houses around there, okay, and they're just between the woods and a frozen lake, which indicates that it's winter and it's really, really cold, and it's actually the darkest evening of the year, which has a kind of ominous feel to it and makes it a bit of a eerie and mysterious tone or mood to the poem. Stanza 3, the horse kind of seems to be indicating to the speaker that they should be moving on, as it gives its bells a shake and asks if there's some mistake. There's some alliteration there as well in the only other sounds, the sweep, and that long S sound emphasizes the calmness and the tranquility of the woods. There's also some interesting adjectives, as the word downy is used to describe the flakes, the snowflakes that are falling, and it describes how soft and feathery the snow is, also giving off a very calm sort of mood and making the speaker very intrigued and interested to stay and just enjoy the natural scene there. The last stanza is quite a famous stanza, and it's been quoted many times. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. And here there's more alliteration, as we can see in dark and deep, and that D sound just emphasizes how intriguing the woods are and how mysterious they are, and just how the poet, or rather the speaker, is drawn to them and wants to stay and enjoy them and explore them. The word but is important there, as it tells us that he's made a decision and he realizes he cannot stay, as he has promises to keep and miles to go before he sleeps. The repetition of the last line probably just emphasizes how much more he still has to do. And this is actually where the metaphor comes in, as miles to go before he sleeps does not necessarily literally mean that he has to travel very far still before he can go to sleep that night. There are many interpretations which we'll have a look at now. So on a literal level, um, you can basically just take it as it is. There's a man on a journey who stops by some woods, but he can't stay too long as he still has a long journey ahead of him, and he's wasting time if he stops at the woods. You can, however, take it as a metaphor where the poet is saying that we are basically too busy in life to appreciate nature and all the important and beautiful things that nature gives us. And so instead of stopping to watch the snow fall in the woods, we have to continue moving on and doing all the other things in life. Um, Yet another interpretation is that sleep represents death and the miles to go is life. And so the poet or the speaker still has a lot to do in life before he can actually die. And he's feeling rather exhausted, and in some ways, he perhaps longs for death, or he longs to just be able to finish and take a break, but he still has many things he wants to do before he dies. Yet another interpretation is that the miles to go could represent all the poems that Frost still wants to write in his lifetime, and he can't stop yet. He can't give up and finish writing because he still has many poems to write and many other things to do in his lifetime. Some of the themes that this poem deals with are choices, as we see that the poet, or rather the speaker, has to make a choice about whether he's going to stay and watch the snowfall and just enjoy the beautiful scenery, or whether he is going to continue with his journey and make it to his destination and do all the things that he has promised he will do. Another theme is isolation, as we see that the poet seems to enjoy being alone here, and it's just him and his horse, and he's out with nature, enjoying the scenery, and quite really seems to want to connect with nature and enjoy that. Right, guys, that's about it in terms of this poem. There will be some questions for you to answer in class tomorrow, as well as a short homework activity to do once you've finished this video. Hopefully it was helpful, and good luck.